Congressman Bob Turner is with us tonight. Thank you, Congressman. And of course, our own councilwoman's here, Joanne Ariola. But now, when we started planning for this meeting, we had a question that we sent out to everybody. And the question was, should Eric Adams be the Republican candidate for mayor? I don't know. So here's the bar graph. What do you think the results were? I think that was a big no, right? I think one person said it was a great idea, and we've excommunicated them out of the club. It's done. They're gone. So that was the result. So now we also have this wonderful T-shirt, if you'd seen it, right? And on the back, we have a people's mayor. So we all know who that is, running for mayor. You can hear him every morning on WABC with our friend Sid Rosenberg. Please welcome Carter Sliwa.
It's a pleasure to be back. And as you know, I'm going to keep coming back because Rockaway and Broad Channel, Howard Beach, Ozone Park, all the way out through Far Rockaway and Bayswater has a very special place in my life, as I've explained before. To give you a little bit of background of how important I know your area is, because it certainly at times has been ignored, is that I remember when I was living at Beach 24th Street, Ocean View had just opened up. Oh, it was supposed to be the gem on the ocean. I don't know, I never got a chance to see it because I was going back and forth to the Bronx, where I became a night manager for Mickey D's. By the time I got there, is I'd have to go all the way down to Broadway, Nassau, and switch there for the A train. And once it hit Broad Channel, it crawled as we were going towards Mont Avenue. And I was wearing my bell-bottom slacks at the time, my platform shoes, and I had a boombox with me that I would play at the Mickey D's when we were closing. And I remember we were getting close to Beach 24th Street, and I was holding on to that boombox because these four thugs were eyeballing me. They were eye-fornicating me, mad-dogging me. I know what they wanted, the boombox. So all of a sudden, one of the guys pulled out a straight-edge razor, slashed me right on the hand. Well, I had to jump into action. We had a little bit of a row. I got off the train and I was bleeding. And I knew I could walk over to Peninsula Hospital. Remember when Peninsula Hospital was open? And I went in there, they did a little triage to me, and I know that they closed that hospital, and I always wondered to myself, what the hell would happen if anybody out here had a heart attack, had some serious condition? I know if you were going over the Gil Hodges Bridge, you don't want to go to Coney Island Hospital. Please, I'd rather you do triage on me right in the street than to go to Coney Island Hospital. And I know where St. John's is. I've been to St. John's, and it's not even mezze, poco, half and half. And then, of course, you'd have to go all the way to Jamaica Hospital, where I got my first stitches in Howard Beach at my Aunt Mary's home, in Old Howard Beach, when I ran right into the wall Thanksgiving, and they said, hey, kid, we got to go to Jamaica Hospital. You got to get stitched up. So it's very interesting that on my birthday last year, when I hit 70 years old, and let's face it, nobody ever thought I would be 70 years old. Nobody. It was the day that hero police officer Jonathan Dillard was shot and killed by Mont Avenue by two thugs who were predicate felons, who were strapped with guns. Obviously, they were right outside of a cell phone place. They were gonna do a stick-up. And he was part of the anti-crime unit, went to open the door, and the thug, instead of giving up, shot him. And where did he have to be transported? All the way to Jamaica Hospital. So they had to make a corridor down the Van Wyck Expressway, and he bled out on his way there. Oftentimes, City Hall views the Rockaways the way they viewed it years ago when I was a kid, and you had to pay a double fare. Remember, you get off in Broad Channel, you had to get off, you had to pay another fare. It's almost like you were going to a different world. I can assure you, having spent all the time that I've spent out in your neck of the woods, that you will have a mayor that will prioritize your needs, that will not forsake you, and you're not going to have to be knocking on the door all the time. Recently, I came into the district along with my wife Nancy and my campaign manager James Barone, and we had a great sit down with your city council person Joanne Areola and her chief of staff Phyllis, who actually worked on my campaign, the original campaign that I lost to Eric Adams. Oh boy, I lost to Eric Adams. And I remember the very next day, as you remember, I had a broken arm. I had been hit by a cab a few days before the end of the campaign. And I'm watching CBS, and he's on the late night show at the Ed Sullivan Theater, and he's giving the host weed. You remember that? That was the night after he beat me. And I said, what a goofball. He's giving weed in a national audience and basically saying, you come to New York City, you get to smoke weed, don't worry about it, I'm the mayor, it's okay. And the host was saying, no, Mr. Mayor, it's not okay. From that day forward, I said, I'm running again. Because look at what's happened to our city since. It's a plume of marijuana. A plume of marijuana. And all the other quality of life issues that have been dismal underneath this mayor. You know what I call him on WABC, would sit in the morning and then the rip and read. The swagger man with no plan. Now he's got a plan to get a pardon from President Trump because he doesn't want to go to jail. I hope not. Well, whatever happens with that is a fait accompli. I have no control over it. Mary Glenn, you have no control over it. Margaret Powers, you have no control over it. Nobody here, the Rockaway Republican Party, has no control over it. It's going to happen. It's not even going to be a pardon. They're going to dismiss the charges. That makes me very angry, since it's some of the information that my wife Nancy, who's here, who does the deep dive, and I actually were able to cultivate and bring to the surface that the U.S. attorneys in the Southern District use. It's massive corruption at an unprecedented level. And now we got to recover the city. We have to recover the city. We got a bunch of socialists, leftists, and progressives on the Democratic side who are running. And we also have Andrew Evil Eyes Cuomo, who is standing there as if he can completely reinvent himself. No cash bail, Andrew. Oh, I really didn't mean that. I saw a bunch of thugs. You took me out of context. America was never great. You remember that one? America was never great. And we can go on and on. He destroyed the state, and now he wants an opportunity to destroy the city. And already, what are we hearing? What are we hearing? A Republican can't win a citywide election, right? It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I'll bet you some of you got in the mail letters already pre-signed that you change your party affiliation to a Democrat, right? They're poaching you. They want you to be their French Foreign Legion. They want you to be mercenaries and Hessians. These moderate Democrats who refuse to stand up to the socialists who have stolen their Democratic Party. So rather than they go out and fight them in the primaries, we want you. We want to rent you as a temporary Democrat. And they're doing it to the independents too. And they're not just sending the letters that are predetermined to make you a Democrat. They're texting you. They're calling you. They're annoying. But that's okay. They're Democrats. They get to do that. They set the rules and then they break the rules. But that just shows you that they are insecure, that they don't have enough of their own moderate Democrats to take back their own party from the socialists, from AOC all-out crazy Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, leader of the Socialists of America. They're afraid of them, and they want you to fight their fight. Why the hell would you leave the Republican Party now? We got momentum. Did you see? When I was broadcasting on the day that President Donald Trump was in Crotona Park, who sends me selfies of them on the subway system, getting off a block away from Crotona Park and going to the Rockaway Republicans? Why the hell would you become a Democrat?
Never.
How many Democrats showed up for AOC to do a counter-protest? 400? How many MAGA people showed up? 30,000 in Crotona Park. They said it could never happen. They said it could never happen. And remember, that's where I made my bones. In neighborhoods where the only Republican they ever saw was Abraham Lincoln on a $5 bill. And even though many of them did not vote for me the first time, they never disrespected me. They said, Curtis, we know you. We know you and the Guardian Angels. You've always been here. But Eric, that's my brother. You know, I can't turn on my brother. Now, they're turning on their brother in a huge way because they have become victims of technology. I mean, how could we do any worse? We've had the trinity, the troika, the trifecta of corruption. We had 8 years of Comrade Bill de Blasio, the part-time mayor, the dope from Park Slope, who every night would be doing pump pass on the back porch of Gracie Mansion with his grifter wife, Charlene. They took $1.5 billion from a program they created called Thrive that was supposed to help the emotionally disturbed, those who needed mental health care. They didn't help who got. They helped themselves. Where's the money? And the Democrats, who had subpoena power, never called them to task. And he walks around now having a midlife crisis, putting black shoe polish in his hair, canoodling with, I don't know if it's men, women, people in transition. The guy's having a midlife crisis. I wish he would just go back to Boston and Cambridge, where he originally came from. Then we had Eric Adams, who immediately became the nightlife mayor. $5,000 customized suits. How did he get that money? And I was asking questions from day one, but nobody wanted to pay attention because his complexion was his protection. You're damn right. And nobody would question him because he would bully them. And we were asking legitimate questions like, Eric, we got a crime problem in New York City. Oh, no, it's not a crime problem. It's your perception that there's a crime problem. You know, a woman just got set on fire on the F train and calling, it's all in your head. It's a perception. Did you see that guy get pushed in front of that train while he was checking his cell phone? Oh, you know, it's a headline. Every excuse in the book. And then we have a failed governor, Andrew Cuomo, who ran from Albany because he was going to get impeached by his own Democrats. And remember, if he got impeached, he'd never be able to run for office again. So he hightailed it out of there, and he ended up going to Fredo's mansion out in Southampton. Hit the mattresses, stir the marinara sauce, and plan his political comeback. How could I do any worse than the three of them? How could I do any worse? You know, the other week, two guys that I've had problems with, you probably know them. Arthur Aidala, the lawyer, supported de Blasio, supported Eric Adams, and obviously Andrew Evil Eyes Cuomo, and Joe Borelli, who is out of the city council, and he's now in the private sector. I've had big battles with them on the radio, as you know. You know, they both said on the radio simultaneously, nobody can buy Curtis Sliwa. He cannot be bought. He cannot be bought. If you were listening to Sid, I was actually crying in Studio B Because that's what my father and mother taught me. Curtis, do good things, and good things will always happen. Never ask why or when, and never allow anybody to buy you. Don't take any money to do something that you know is wrong. And I cherish their memory by my actions and what I do. You can't buy me. There's just no way. I came into this world ashes to ashes, and I'll leave dust to dust like we all will. It's not about the money. It's about maintaining what our parents and grandparents provided for us here. No matter where you were from. You might have been born and raised out here in the Rockaways or Breezy Point. You might have come from other locations. Our parents and grandparents did not create this great city of ours to watch it completely be destroyed by Democrats. DeMaggio, Adams, Cuomo. Look at what we had when Rudy Giuliani was mayor for 8 years, followed by Bloomberg for 12. George Pataki overseeing it, 12 years. No corruption. Crime was down. Quality of life was improved. And when they say to you, a Republican can't win a city election, don't waste your vote. How could anything go any worse than it's gone with the Three Stooges? I mean, think about that. So don't let them convince you of that. Look at what happened with President Trump. I remember when he was at Mar-a-Lago sitting with Kanye West, some guy named Nicky Fuentes, some neo-Nazi boy, and some other guy who couldn't figure out if he was gay or straight dependent, some Greek kid. And they said, it's over for you, it's over. We're going with Nikki Haley. We're going with DeSantis, right? Remember when that was said? And look at him, the comeback hit. Look at him now. He's like on fire. He's on fire. And all the things that we talked about, he's actually putting into place. Floyd Benefiel, finally close, they're out of it. I want to compliment your city councilwoman, Joanne Ariola, because she came up to me when Whitestone was having their Christmas party at Great Necks and Lennox, and she said, we need to sit down. Floyd Benefiel is over. There's so much that we can do together as Republicans. And your best ally, as I told you, Joanne and Phyllis, was my wife Nancy, who loves animals. All kinds of animals. And she would see what Joanne was doing for the animal community, and she would sort of bump me, Mary, like, hey, look. I said, I don't want to look at that. She said, look, she's taking care of the animals. And we came together, and we pledged to help one another. I'm helping Joanne become your city council person again. And Joanne is going to help me save this city by becoming the mayor from all the Democrats who are destroying us. Paul King, who ran a great race against Minks for Congress, I promised him that I'm going to work with him to build up a Republican Party in the southeastern portion of Queens, and I will fulfill that commitment. Tom Sullivan, you know what I said about the Sullivan brothers? First in war, first in peace. I'll always be there for the Sullivan brothers. No finer gentleman has ever run for office than Tom Sullivan. It's like Mr. Smith goes to Washington. It's a real life case. And my job is to help all these young men and women who are running for office maybe for the first time. For Queensborough president, for the city council positions. You saw Ramses Frias. All those videos you've seen on Fox News about Corona and Elmhurst and Jackson Heights, that's because Ramses Frias lives in that neighborhood and wasn't going to take it anymore. And he decided, I'm going to run for city council. I'm not going to let the Democratic Socialists of America destroy my community. And I'm going to do this as a Republican. My job is to go into those neighborhoods and help those who are on the down ballot. Because if I can elevate them, We're party building. And obviously it's going to help me when I'm running for mayor. But let's say I don't win. At least I leave behind a generation that's ready to fight in the next election, and the one after, and the one after, and the one after. We're no longer going to be in an abusive relationship here in New York City. The Democrats are no longer going to be able to attack us and cast aspersions on us. And Adrian Adams, who controls the city council, no, the socialists are not going to have their way. We're going to battle them on every issue, and I will name and shame people. I will not be afraid like this mayor. Alvin Bragg must go! Must go! Must go! Every socialist will be challenged. Challenge them in their neighborhood. Because I've been in all their neighborhoods. And I'll say, you see that shooting that took place, that murder? You can thank your socialist city council person for this, because they didn't stand for law and order in the police. They stood for crime and criminality. And that's what they're doing. We've got to get rid of the criminal migrants. People want them gone. They don't belong here. They need to go back to their country of origin. The socialists want them to stay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I come back to the Rockaways to pay tribute to the Rockaway Republicans, who have always given me a great welcome, who have allowed me to remember when I'd stand outside of Stella Maris with the boys from Brooklyn Prep, who I went to school with. And they'd say, you know, if you wait long enough, Curtis, you might get lucky. And then, of course, Rockaway Playland, having been grown up in Coney Island, which was an open cesspool in the water, coming to the Rockaways was like coming to the Riviera. Oh my God, fresh water and not people everywhere. You have a tradition you want to maintain. They want to take that from you, the city of yes. They want to bring in the backhoes and the doges, and they want to knock down your equity, your 1 and 2 family houses, and put up monstrosities. The socialists don't believe in private homes. They don't. They want to put block housing up. And this mayor, who gets wine dined and pocket lined by developers and real estate interests, has sold all of you out. I get to be mayor. Developers, real estate interests, stay the hell out of these areas. Leave the residential areas alone. It's the American dream to own your house. How many first-generation immigrants have worked together, pooled their resources to have the experience that our parents and grandparents had? Like my grandfather, Fidel Bianchino and Nicoletta Bianchino, who had a house in Canarsie, Brooklyn, that they then gave to my mother, the youngest of 13, that I now have as a guardian angel headquarters because there's so much crime in the area. That's the American dream, and they are not going to take it from us. They're not going to drive you out of here. They're not going to send you to Florida and Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Texas, and Tennessee. You're going to have a mayor who's going to say, hey, improve, we ain't moving. We're going to keep the neighborhoods. We're going to keep the private homes. We're going to keep the quality of life. And then finally, the most important part, which is that you are the heart and soul of what is the revival in New York City. There was a time in which it was very bleak when you look around the map to see if there were Republicans. You'd see a lot of blue. There was no red in the Bronx. There is red now in Morris Park in Throgs Neck, and there's going to be more red. Christy Moderado won the race. I'm going up there to help her get reelected, and it requires getting moderate Democrats. Moderate Democrats voted for me the last time in that district. We can get the moderate Democrats. We can get the independents. The moderate Democrats know that their party has failed them. We're not asking them, we're not sending out invitations to join the Republican Party. We just want them to vote for our principles, our beliefs in patriotism, pride in being an American, in the flag, in teaching our children in school the history of their country, the current events, especially civics, so they know how to become productive and contributing members of the community. That's how you were raised. That's how I was raised, whether you went to parochial school or public school. We can reinstill those values. Thank God you kept the traditions alive, because now other neighborhoods have come on board. Look at Middle Village and Glendale and Maspeth. They've kept those traditions alive. Look at Whitestone, and look at Flushing. The Asian vote voted for me the first time ever for a mayoral candidate. Rudy, as great as he was, couldn't win them. Bloomberg couldn't buy them. I was able to get them to vote for me. Zeldin completed that. He almost beat Hochul. And then Donald Trump doubled his vote, got 30% of the city vote. We got momentum on our side. We can get more city council. State legislature, assembly, state senate, the governorship, there's no stopping us. But if I become mayor, I go out there and I battle them in every neighborhood. I battle the socialists. I tell them, no, there should be a two-party system. If we have a two-party system, there's balance. But if you're a socialist, there's no role for you in our city, because you want to fly the flag of socialism and communism, not capitalism. That's what we live on. And we don't want to live in block housing. We want residential neighborhoods. We want quality of life. We don't want people smoking pot out in the streets. We don't want people defecating and urinating in the streets. We want to care for our emotionally disturbed and our homeless, because we care. Cold-hearted Cuomo doesn't care. He's the one who closed the mental health facilities and put all the emotionally disturbed in the street. So think about that. Republicans care because we believe in the values of our parents and grandparents. I worship my mother and father, who are buried in Queens, not by visiting them at the cemetery with flowers on the appropriate days, but through my actions. My mom, my dad were hardcore Democrats, blue-collar working-class Democrats, like for so many of you. I was taught Republicans are the party of the rich, the wealthy, those who go to country clubs, that the Democrats are the party of the blue-collar working class. Weren't many of you taught that way? Yes. And there are some out there who still believe that. Look at the recent elections. The Republicans were the party of the blue-collar working class. They are the party that cares about the interests of all of you who have children and grandchildren and want to carry on the traditions. It's not the party of the rich. It's not the party of the country clubs. You saw President Trump win an election right across the board. The 7 battleground states won the popular vote. He couldn't have done that without Democrats. We can take this city back by getting moderate Democrats and independents. We're not going to chase them away. We're not going to vilify them. I don't care if Republicans are rhinos or they're MAGA. We need everybody working together. And I'm the guy, the people's mayor, who can bring them together with your help. So thank you, Rockaway Republican Club. Thank you, Joanne Ariola, Phyllis. Thank you, all of our great candidates that we're going to be working in the rear with. And we are going to build this party up. And we are going to take back this city. And we will have a viable two-party system so that we have balance. We will no longer be the stepchild. We will no longer be made fun of. I will no longer stand there and let somebody tell me Republicans have no chance to win a citywide election. I know we can. We've done it before. Think of Rudy Giuliani in his race against David Dinkins. They said he couldn't beat him. He came back and he beat him. This time, I lost to Eric Adams. Eric Adams probably won't even be in the final tally. I'll be standing there in the general election, and whether it's Cuomo or any of the socialists, liberals, and progressives, once they battle it out with ranked choice voting, I'm ready to defend your honor, your traditions, your neighborhood, your city. May I just say, I spotted a great gentleman here. me. Could you stand up here? They said we couldn't win, right? They said a Republican couldn't win. And Ed Koch said, this Republican can win. And he campaigned with him. And he was one of the best congressmen that we've ever had, representing the people's interests. I'm honored that you're here tonight. I will not forsake what you did. Republicans can win. They have won, and we're going to win this time. Thank you.